Sun Life Financial is proud to host this roundtable on financial wellness in partnership with the HR Reporter. It's part of our commitment to thought leadership, which brings together leaders and experts to deliver the best thinking in group benefits, both inside and outside our organization.
With an uneven economy and continued uncertainty, finances can be a challenge for many employees, especially when they're faced with considerable debt and a lack of knowledge. This can lead to significant stress in their lives, which is why many employers are adopting financial wellness programs, both to improve employees' health and the bottom line. Canadian HR Reporter recently moderated a roundtable sponsored by Sun Life Financial that brought together a panel of experts to discuss the challenges and possible solutions, such as employee education and how to successfully reach employees and change their behaviors. In this video, the first of a three-part series, panelists talk about why financial wellness has become an important issue, along with looking at potential obstacles such as liability and privacy concerns, diversity in the workforce, stigma around finances, and a lack of numeracy skills.
Ultimately, when I look at it, financial wellness is the process of getting to financial well-being. And financial well-being is the end state that we're trying to achieve. So we look at financial wellness and say, here are the tools, the resources, the education materials that we can use to achieve financial well-being. And it needs to be pushed more into the behavioral side of things, not the technical side of personal finance.
I really feel, frankly, that it's come hot on the heels of the overall wellness trend that we've seen increasingly in the workplace over the last 10 to 15 years. So it's a natural next step in the evolution of wellness in the workplace, because wellness has been so closely married with benefits. And I think that because of the financial wellness piece being so tied to emotional stress and how you behave and behaviors in the workplace, that this is a natural evolution of holistic well-being in the workplace, and financial literacy, financial well-being is a really important part of that. I think the early emphasis was on financial literacy, to your point, and we are now gone beyond that, because in a lot of larger organizations, more mature organizations, they are providing the tools and resources through the benefits partners that they are partnered with. That said, it's more now around why are employees why are they not using these tools and resources that are available to them? Why are we not necessarily seeing those behavior shifts? And so it's really getting to the psychology, in a sense, that's behind that. And really it's about the behavior that's going to change those outcomes at the end of their sort of career journey around financial wellness.
When we start leveraging the power of analytics, and where you're sort of hitting a bit of a obstacle is, drawing that line and saying, well, we know a certain segment of our population is having difficulty, for example, investing. So how much can we prod? How much can we, and our partners are very clear on the confidentiality matters. But at some point you sort of struggle with this balance. You want to know, you want the information so you can help the employees, but at the same time you're sort of held back. Again, obviously for good reasons.
I think it's a concern continuing on that stigma piece as well too, because when you look at who's in the workplace today and their families, many of them were raised by parents who you were taught you don't talk about your financial concerns or problems that you're having outside of the family. Like, it was kept very hush-hush. And so it's taking that additional step and saying, much around the stigma around mental health as well too, where it's just being able to talk about it and knowing that the resources are available. But many people are the product, obviously, of their environment. And for most it was they were taught or they've learned not to talk about financial wellness or their financial concerns, because that's just a learned behavior on their part.
I think the diversity of the workforce is really a challenging component for us, and when you look at the cross-generational needs, the way people are engaged, the younger population is much different today, and they are looking for other things that really tie retirement, which is not in the near future, or savings, really. And so how do we capture that attention? How do we turn it into something that they can understand will benefit them? If you run a cash flow planning seminar, it's not terribly thrilling of a topic, but so critical. It is. It's very critical, and if it was maybe packaged a little differently. Something like, living pay to pay. Find some tools to help you succeed, right? Or to kind of bridge that gap. But that has been a bit of the challenge. More importantly, when you run those kind of seminars, people are reluctant to attend because it says something about their personal finances in a public setting. So if we have more of a confidential forum, like a web-based type of event, sometimes the success rate's a little bit higher. So it's really interesting.
The majority of people, and when I say the majority, it's probably in the 90% plus, don't use the technology. They, if you want to, I've heard people say, oh, well, you got to use Twitter, you got to use Facebook. This is how you're going to connect with people and things like this. Sure, that might be how you connect with people on a social level, but when we're trying to impart behavioral change when it comes to finances and things like this, a subject that a lot of people are intimidated by, a lot of people are very insecure about, 140 characters isn't going to change a behavior. We need to help them to start seeing money in a different way, start presenting information in a different way. I think when we talk about financial education, when we talk about financial literacy, one thing that we're missing, and it's a huge thing, is numeracy. Okay, we keep talking about, they did this little survey where they asked 3 financial questions about, something and said, well, people aren't financially literate. Well, no, those questions had nothing to do with finance. They had everything to do with numeracy. So let's take a further step back and look at, okay, why is it that 60% of Canadians have a level 2 numeracy skill level, meaning their ability to deal with only simple, clear, uncomplicated tasks involving money, all right? Involving numbers. And then try and translate that to all the stuff we talk about when it comes to money and how complex it becomes. And it's no wonder that a large portion of the population cannot connect with what's being delivered. The result that I hear from employers when I'm talking to them about financial programming is, to compound on that, is the liability factor, and where is the line between education and advice. Yes. And that's, again, where you had mentioned maybe it's important to have a third party, providing this type of thing, so that it's not the companies only trying to do what they can do.
We've thought about the liability issue over the years, and what seems to be the case in Canada is that there's really no litigation, track record of litigation from employees, and so we all worry a lot about whether we should be offering advice or we should leave it to anybody else to offer advice. But employees are really looking for information, and I think similarly to the relationship they have with their bank or their financial institution when they're choosing external investments, we shouldn't get too caught up in that